Hey, I'm Alicia, your non-monogamous relationship coach. Welcome to the podcast where my friends and I chat about our relationships, enthusiastic non-monogamy, polyamory, swinging, kink, and our lives. You'll get a candid peek into what makes it worth it to live life outside the box. And in case you're still wondering, nope, we're not monogamous. Hey friends, thanks for helping me welcome Shelby Avann to our show today. Shelby is a relationship and intimacy coach and a Reiki healer, and she helps women to create deep emotional intimacy in their relationships, heal codependency and loneliness. And Shelby loves blending the realms of spirituality and science in her coachings and healings. And she shares that she's especially passionate about the topics of sex, nervous system regulation, attachment styles, and energy. So we have a lot in common there. Shelby's sharing openly about her personal journey with different relationship styles, from initially exploring polyamory to realizing a monogamish structure suits her better, and the winding path of growth that it's been for her. So some of the things you're gonna get out of today's episode is defining what flavor of non-monogamy, if any, aligns with your values, a bit about managing jealousy and insecurity when you're opening up, some building trust and communication around needs and boundaries, and how doing the personal work to become more secure in your relationships is essential. And then she's going to share a little bit about using Reiki healing to clear emotional blockages. I really loved Shelby's thoughts on deepening intimacy through vulnerability and playfulness. She explains how anxiety can sabotage connections when it's left unaddressed. And whether you're monogamous, non-monogamous, or somewhere in between, this conversation offers up some insights into fostering healthier relationships. I would love to hear what resonated the most with you. Let us know. Enjoy the show. Excellent. Welcome. We'll start there.
Thanks.
Okay, here's what I want to ask you. First of all, is to set the tone, I guess, is since this is Nope, We're Not Monogamous, I would love to hear what your relationship style is, or your experience, like your relationship to relationships, I guess, or non-monogamy.
Okay. So I would say mine is closer to monogamish is the way that I like to go with things. But it's been developing. I've been like over the past, probably since COVID started, I've been learning more about different types of relationship styles. And the monogamish one, I think always kind of resonated with me. I've kind of like, again, studied, looked more into more further down the line, like poly styles, kind of tried to do one like that, or I tried to do a couple relationships which were um, more open than what I was comfortable with, and was just like, no, this isn't what I am. Um, and then recently got told, like, I think you're monogamous, and I really got pissed off about that. It's like, I think you're wrong. Actually, you are wrong. I'm just not all the way over on the other side of like super open and super poly. I'm somewhere in the middle, maybe closer to monogamous, but I would not say I'm monogamous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just something that came up like I think three different people told it to me. A therapist told me that too, who is a poly person as well. And she was like, yeah, I think you're monogamous. Like, or no, she did identify me as monogamous. It's like, don't identify me as that. Like, I don't feel that way. And she did twice. I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought you would have known better.
Right? Right? It's a
Mhm.
spectrum. Like,
Yeah.
just because I'm boning a dude doesn't make me less bi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because I'm monogamous in this moment doesn't mean I always am.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so that's where I feel I kind of land is I'm closest to the side of monogamous, but I'm not. I'm monogamish is what I
Yeah.
would say. Mhm.
Ooh, that's fun. That's very fun. So it's funny because anytime we talk about labels, like everyone kind of has their own idea, right? And like they're super helpful because how
Mhm.
else do you describe anything without spending hours talking about it? And and they're also not always like like people just like for example, a lot of people will be like, "Yeah, we're polyamorous." Me and they really aren't. Like they just maybe they're swingers, but just don't know, right? Like that's just the only word that they've heard. So I'm curious if you were to define monogamish, how would you define it?
Well, to me, the way I would define it is more so like you have your one person and then you get to go and play with others with them basically. Like it's not for me, it's not a I don't really want to go out and play with others separately. Because I know
Yeah.
that where I am, it's like my insecurities would come up much too much just because of like past things that have come up with people.
Yeah.
That I want to do it together is the option that I would say monogamish
Yeah.
is for me, is the definition for me, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. I hear a lot of people say that or use like zip code rules, right? If you're in another area, then we're open, but if we're together, then we're not. That's another one I hear a lot.
Yeah, I could see that too. So if you're in like a long distance relationship situation, then I'm like, yeah, that I think that does make sense. But that's I don't like long distance relationships. Again, that's just not I keep trying them and I'm like, these really don't work for me. I'm not happy with them. So I should just stop with those because they don't work. Just I don't like them.
Yep, yep, yep. I can feel that. I feel that.
Mhm.
I know I've tried dating people that are like, "Oh, I'm not much of a texter." And I'm like, "Well, eventually I came to the conclusion like we're not compatible then because I don't have time to only talk to you in person."
Well, yeah, I like audio notes. I think that's like
Ooh,
a really good I don't know, interim space for me. Like that's my
yeah,
favorite way to contact any of my closest people in my life. Like I love sending audios back and forth because then I find that one's kind of like it's like you are talking to them, you get a lot more out of it. But then it's you can listen to it when you have time. Like you
yeah,
both can listen when you have time, right? So it's like you might not both be able to actually get on a phone call or you might not both be able to meet
yeah,
right away, but you can still have these conversations that feel very much like a phone call or an in-person type of thing. So
yeah.
do audio notes.
I love that. That's so fun.
Mhm.
Amazing, amazing. Um, I wanted to ask you about the hmm in this like journey of figuring out what works for you, what would you say? I love that you brought up that your therapist was calling you monogamous. What would you say is has been like what's been the biggest challenge?
Uh I think it comes one relationship at a time, depending on where is what I would say, I guess. So, I could, oh, geez,
I know, right?
yeah, because I think of like when I was first interested in it, or when I first started getting interested in it, I actually got interested in kink, I guess first,
Yeah,
kind of, um, sort of in a way, because I guess the kink that I went towards was actually like a multiple people situation, so it's kind of like
yeah,
blended together, I guess. And the person that I was with, he was bi, and he was seeing another guy, and I was kind of like, it doesn't. In my head, I was like, it doesn't really matter if he's seeing a guy. Like we can't offer the same thing, so it's fine. Like I won't be jealous. And I was like, oh, never mind. That emotional connection part, which I really
surprise.
like. And I'm not really getting as much of from this person, but I know he's giving to this other human. Like, oh, I want that, and I'm jealous of that.
Yeah,
So okay, lesson.
yeah,
So I got that one from there. I got I don't know. The next like standout relationship where it wasn't actually an open relationship. Like we were monogamous and we were in discussions about having um like an open relationship eventually, a more open relationship, I guess, playing with others. And like once I felt secure in it, except that I never felt secure in it because we kept breaking up. Like it wasn't a very good relationship.
Yeah.
It wasn't a healthy relationship. But like going through that one, we were having a lot of really good conversations. I felt it was just that everything else was not structured or okay or healthy. And then he actually ended up cheating on me.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, so we were talking about this thing, and basically you were going and doing the thing we were talking about, but I just wasn't in the loop on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That sucks.
Uh
Um,
huh.
yeah, and then so after that one, then I was kind of like, okay, like I still think this is something I want to do, but now because of this experience, now I've got a whole bunch of triggers, basically,
Yeah.
because I had someone that I really cared about just like fully lie to me. Um, and for a very long time, like we had been together for probably about a year and a half on and off. And I think it started like at month 3
Mm-hmm.
is what I ended up kind of figuring out. So it's like that really, yeah, that really, really sucks. Um, and then so working through all of that stuff was something. And then the next one I
Yeah.
had was really was a lot healthier, but then that was the long distance one. So I was kind of like, oh, I haven't had this really, really healthy relationship yet, and I really want this. So that's kind of why I wanted to try
Yeah.
the long distance thing, but it still wasn't working for me because this definitely was a person that was poly. So very much like I want to love many people. I can love many people. I want to be able to give my time to all these humans. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. And again, it was for me, the main thing for me is like, I want that emotional connection. I want that time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be spending time with you physically as well. And he was in Pennsylvania. I'm in near Toronto. So that's like an 8-hour
Yeah.
drive at the very least. Um, and I'm like, and I'm not getting that. And then he had things that I wanted. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to get this from you because he like had a family and he had kids. And
Mm-hmm.
like I want all of that. And I kind of like want that from one person. And I don't think that's going to be you because it's, you already have it. And even the situation wasn't really good on his end on that side because he was
Yeah.
kind of not breaking out into poly. He always knew he was poly, but he had allowed himself to be in a monogamous marriage for a long time. So it was kind of in the
Mm.
opening up stage, but it was kind of like, this is definitely who he is, but it wasn't really who she was. So it was kind of messy
Yeah.
too. So there's just a lot
Multiple
going
people
on in
going
that
through
one.
multiple transitions.
Yeah. So it was just really, really hard. And again, as healthy, it was one of the healthiest relationships I was in, but there was just so many things that I still wasn't getting and too much turmoil and like too many kind of similar triggers kind of coming from what was going on in the situation anyway, just because of how it was all playing out. So, um, yeah, I don't know. There's just, I think I ended up telling you more stories than what I was learning through them. um, those are just kind of my experiences through that I've had so far. And more so now I'm kind of like, I just recognize more and more that I'm monogamish is where I really do
Yeah.
feel probably starting very monogamous and then going into opening up, which is like what I have actually wanted the entire time. And just I think people told me they could kind of like, they couldn't really give it that to me, or that wasn't really in the same
Mm.
alignment. And I was like, well, we'll just try it and it'll be fine. And so it's, more so respecting myself more in what
Yeah.
I actually really want. Being like, I don't think this is going to work. You sound great, but we just don't line up. Like you just
Yeah.
want different things than I do. And I guess like that's okay. I think we could be great together, but I don't,
Yeah.
this isn't quite in line.
Yeah, yeah. You've gone through all of these iterations of like, God, what amazing lessons, but also like what amazing information you've received through them of like who you are and how you want to relate to people. And
Mhm.
and also that last bit that you just said, I see this so often where people will settle for less than what they want because
Yeah.
like there's a possibility here, like this could be a thing, and it's like
Yeah.
we give up the things we want for the potential of what might be,
Mhm.
rather than holding on to like, actually I already know what it is that I want, and I can keep pursuing that rather
Yeah.
than going, oh, here's someone who likes me, I guess I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think that one of the things within that too, so like being open to the idea of, I don't know, like more open type of dynamics, there's a side of me that questions like, well, I don't know, am I someone that can do like casual in the interim while I'm searching for the person that I want? And it's not really a thing that I found I can do.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's also where I get my head goes and he's like, yeah, we can do this. But then I kind of do end up settling. I'm like, oh no, we've fallen into the routine of where we want to go, but this person isn't the person I actually want to do it. Like they're meant to be that interim person in a
Yeah.
sense, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
try again.
Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Yeah,
Mhm,
it's funny, usually when I'm talking to people who know that they don't want to be monogamous, but they're like single or dating or looking for a person to like build a life with or anything along that lines, I always say like begin as you intend to go on, especially if you're someone who like is polyamorous or does want like a fully open relationship or and so I typically will tell people like don't try to build one type of relationship and then burn it down and change it and build a second type of relationship on top of that,
mhm,
right? However, what you're talking about here is like you essentially want a monogamous relationship, many of the things that come with monogamy,
mhm.
while having like some sexual adventure together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that probably sounds about right. And again, I like for me, I feel like that fits into the monogamish
Yeah.
category as
Yeah.
I try to like slot myself into
Absolutely.
a particular spot. But um yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But
I love
I
that.
think um there was something that I learned like years ago too. It was like this book that was talking about soulmates. And it's like these different levels of soulmates. And I thought it was really, really interesting because it was talking about I can't remember what each one was now. I just remember like the top one, which is basically wanting to be able to be on like the same type of life purpose, life path um, as this other human, and then like you're romantic with them. You basically have all the things with them, and you're able to go really deep with them. And that's something that I really do want. And one of the things that I kind of question whether or not is truly possible to get if I or someone else were to be splitting their time in other relationships. Like, can you actually go really deep if you have multiple people that you're engaging with? Or
Mm.
is one person for like one particular thing, another person is for another particular thing? And is that actually what you want? Or do you really want to be like, I really have to work at this relationship to be able to um, go deeper with myself and find more intimacy with myself and another person and like how far can I really go?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. That's such a good question because that's another one of those things that I think falls on a spectrum.
Mhm.
Right? So my husband and I we've never been monogamous together. We've been together about 10 years. And I was previously married for a long time monogamously. And when I got divorced, I was like, well, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to find another the one and then have to start over in another 13 years, right? So I was like, so I don't want to be monogamous. And then like a few months later, I met my second husband and he was like, yeah, me either. And I was like, cool. Now I have to figure out how this works because I was super jealous and super possessive. And he was polyamorous. He is polyamorous. We both are. But for a long time, for several years, many years, I thought I am not polyamorous. I can't be in love with more than one person. I can't go deep like that with more than one person at a time. And then I fell in love again and was still, like, and then I was like, oh, I see. Like, I could not even conceive of it, especially because I was dealing with so much healing and like just really really learning how to love myself um and not let my partner's other relationships keep me like in this downward spiral that I was like really just trying to get my way out of. um and so I questioned it. I was like, I don't know that people can actually do that. Maybe they're just saying it, right? It's just a thing they're saying because it's more convenient. And then I fell in love again and I was like, oh shit. Oh, I see. And it definitely feels like a spectrum. Like how much bandwidth do you have? How much energy does your heart have for doing that? How much healing do you need, right? Like there's so many pieces to it. That sometimes it is a lot easier to just do that with one person.
Yeah, yeah, well, it's yeah, as you're saying it, I'm kinda like, "Oh, yeah, I can see the growth into it kind of thing, because it's like,
Yeah,
recognizing where I am right now, I feel like I haven't had this the type of significant relationship that I really, really wanted. I haven't been able to build that, um, and I want it. So I'm like, I don't know, I don't wanna do it with multiple people at this particular point in time. Like, to I just wanna do it with one. I don't know how I could do it where I don't even know where to find them all. Um,
yeah,
as as one of the things of it, but I could see something like that progressing
yeah,
as as you get more of what it is that you want, and then you're able to open even further.
yeah,
I could see
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, definitely. There's like,
Mhm,
the foundation of safety and trust really has to be built.
mhm,
Otherwise, it's always like this shaky ground that you're moving on. And when you can build that foundation, and then you grow and change and you have new experiences and you get new perspectives
mhm.
and it's like just constant, right? Like this constant evolution of what's next and what else is possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very yeah, I could yeah. Be very cool. Could be very the potential of it is really interesting to think of.
Yeah.
Is yeah, the expansiveness of it. I like that. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Ah. um uh God, there was another question I had for you. It just shot out of my head. Um you had mentioned outside of here about healing insecure attachment. And I'm
Mhm.
curious about your thoughts on that.
Well, I think it's possible, because that's
Yeah.
that's literally what I do. So I'm a relationship and intimacy coach, and then I do Reiki healing as well.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's yeah, I really think that it's something that's very doable. 'Cause I'm pretty sure you had the author of Polysecure on, did you not?
Yes. Yes. Jessica Furman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I know that book was so good. I haven't read the newest one, but I
Oh my
love
God. The newest one is so good.
yeah, I can't wait to read that one.
Yeah.
But the first one I really, really liked because she broke down all this different type of attachment style stuff
Yeah.
that was not just about romance. It was like, you can have different attachment styles because of these types of situations with your sister, with your friends, with even because of like whatever happened with schooling situations, like all these
Yeah.
different things. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like I've already learned about this stuff, but we didn't go into all the other factors of how this could happen. But this makes a lot of sense. Right. So
Hmm.
um yeah, I thought that was so, so interesting in her book, and, attachment style can be healed, like, you can
Yeah.
become an earned, secure human if you, know where to find the tools and where to get the help, and if you're really motivated to change the way you've been.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're tired of, being jealous or having all these triggers that come up or being volatile or passive aggressive or how have or
Or
avoidant and just
running.
like run away run away and
Yeah.
be like, "Nah, I'm not going to deal with it." You just have to choose to start working on that, and you can change and become more secure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I that has been my experience.
Mhm.
And what the other thing I find really fascinating about attachment styles is the idea, well, yeah, I mean, just what I find fascinating about attachment styles is that they can vary from relationship to a relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Like I find myself very secure in some relationships and very anxious in other relationships. It's like, and I know that's not all me. A lot of that has to do with our interactions and
Mhm.
um, my experiences with individual people and the energy in that relationship. It's fascinating.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It's very dependent on how you interact with the other people. Like I know I think it's just about like whatever needs are actually getting met from whichever group of people and how well people do with communicating to one another sort
Yeah.
of thing. Because if if you're left guessing about things, they can get more anxious. So if they're more likely to avoid and run away and, not want to have that conflict conversation. Sorry, I've got wild animals in the house apparently. Banging around. Then you're more likely to get anxious because they're not communicating with you and they're running away. You're like, I don't want to be abandoned. I don't want you to leave. So can you just tell me what's going on maybe? And if they don't know how to do it, then you just want to like be a little more grabby and you like, hello, can you support and um acknowledge me or like something. I just need to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like stuff like that come off. And then at the same time, if your response is to be more anxious, then sometimes that can push people away. And then if you're secure, then usually you're having a pretty good dynamic, which I really find that this is one of the reasons I actually really like this world. Like whether it's within the kink world or like whatever type of relationship you're in, the open types of
Yeah.
relationships. I find that people communicate way better in these worlds. And they
Yes.
usually coincide, but this is like one of the
Yeah.
things that I really, really love about it. Like you're consistently having these consent conversations, really great sex conversations usually.
Yeah.
You're open about talking about stuff like, your STI status and protection, which makes protects you a lot better. And then all of that requires communication in the first place. So it's like these skills are just there. They're not just there, like they've been built, but they're more likely to be in these situations is what I've found. Like
Everyone's
I
more
don't,
familiar with it.
yeah, like it's just it's common, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an
Hmm.
entire culture. It's funny because I love that you're talking about like the kink, the Venn diagram of kink, polyamory or non-monogamy, and swinging. Like right in the middle there is my favorite place to be. It's like all of the
Hmm.
best consent conversations, all of the best safety conversations, all of the best conversations around like emotional well-being. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's the best way, like the best way to build intimacy, like a true
Mhm.
emotional intimacy kind of thing, right? So it's I don't know, the best places to be are here.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah. I have a partner, what you were saying earlier about like anxious like
an avoidance.
communication for people who are anxious, right? I
Hmm.
have a partner who, when we very first started dating, he didn't know I had like I'm an anxious person, that I
Hmm.
have an anxious attachment. When we very first started dating, and he told me, he texted me, he said, "Hey, if you don't hear from me for a couple of days, just know, be assured that like I haven't ghosted you, or I'm not like suddenly not interested in being your friend, or nothing has changed. I
Hmm.
might just be busy, like, and it's okay." And that what great like forward communication that was for me, because I was like, "Oh, okay,
Hmm.
cool." It like alleviated so much anxiety for me where it would be like, "Oh my god, this person I'm interested in hasn't texted me in 3 hours. They must hate me now." And he did that like really early on, and I was like, "That is so sweet." Wasn't asked for. It was just like this very like I have like basically I've had experiences with people who get worried when nobody responds to them. And so I want you to know, like, if I don't talk to you, it's not, you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, those preemptive conversations are again, it takes a bit to kind of get to that point. But then once you have those skills, you really can just prevent so much conflict and worry.
Yeah.
And you can just see it when people do that. So it's like clearly this person has that communication skill, like they've experienced it in the past, they've learned how to build it, and
Yeah.
now they're utilizing it, and it works really, really well. Because I've had a couple like conversations with different people where they've done kind of like preemptive things, or some of it requires like my own self-awareness with it too. So I'm like, um, one of them had said like, I'm going to need some space around something. I'm like, okay, like, when am I going to hear from you? Um, because that was something that like my ex did, and he would not communicate what was happening. And I'd be like, are we breaking up? Because you kind of do that sometimes, and it's not really super fun. So I need to know whether you're like taking a day or whether we're over.
Yeah.
And then this other person was like, can you just tell me like when you're gonna contact me again? And he wasn't really being super specific. And I was like, okay, listen, I'm feeling triggered because of this last situation, which you know about. He's like, oh, okay, I get it. I'll respond back to you by this time, kind of thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, thanks. I'm good now. Carry on. We can
Yeah, I
take your
can
break.
I can go and live my life now and not be sitting and spinning out anxiously because like I feel taken care of. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And then I had another recent conversation with someone um that we're kind of like going on a couple dates with. I've gone on a couple dates with, and he was just like, well, what kind of conversation do you like to have? Because I'm not in the city at the moment. So we're not like nearby until
Yeah.
January, basically. She's like, well, what do you want to do for a conversation? Then like, do you want to talk in between? Like, do you want to text? What do you want to do? How do you like to interact? And I was like, oh, well, since we're gonna be far away, I don't mind texting, but if like we're close by and we're just planning to like we're gonna see each other within the same week or something, I just basically want to make plans. But
Yeah.
since that's not the case right now, we can like text and do some audio notes and ask questions back and forth and chat like this until like we can see each other again, sort of thing.
God, I love it when people ask for what they want.
Yeah.
That like that level of clear communication is so sexy.
I know, I agree. And the no's too. Like I feel like sometimes no's are a bit hard, but at the same time, they're really it is nice to hear because then you know that you can trust them to be like, no, this is my limit.
Yeah.
Um, can we work around it? Can we um compromise? Can we work up? Can I get more comfortable with this by doing something, like a stepping stone to something, whatever it looks like, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, the no's are really, really nice to hear
Yep.
too.
Yep. Yep. Someone the other day said, if I can't, I don't remember who it was, but yeah, they were like, if I can't trust your no, then how can I trust your yes?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that was kind of mind blowing for me because I'm like, yeah, obviously. Like if you
Yeah.
never tell me where your boundaries are, then how do I know you're even into this?
Yeah, well, and you know it too. Like, you can feel it, and you're just like, this person's flaky. They say yes, and I don't really know whether or not they're going to show up. Like, they might not, because they're always overextending themselves. They're always doing like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so they need to be able to say no and show up for themselves, and that also supports everyone else that you're in relationship with. 'Cause then you know that you're actually getting a whatever version they say you're getting, you're going to get from them. Basically, they're like, no, I need a break today, so I don't really want to hang out. Or yeah, we can hang out, but I'm just gonna tell you I'm a hot mess and I kind of need like some emotional support. So this is what you're getting. If you still want to hang out, let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
um I'm curious, can you tell me a little bit about, because I don't know a lot about Reiki. Can you tell me a little bit about Reiki and how one might use Reiki in relationship work or healing
Yeah.
or is that even a thing?
Yeah, well, it can be. So Reiki, you do have to get it. Okay. So I feel like everyone's very energetic. It's just a matter of whether or not you have gotten in tune with how energetic you actually are. But
Yes.
like in the example I was just giving, kind of thing, like you would energetically feel that person being like saying yes when it's like they're saying yes, but I know they're just saying it because they're people pleasing me right
Yeah.
now. Like, just can you
Yeah.
just be honest with me? Like, you'll feel it. You'll feel it in your body.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, it's like an energy. It's energetic, but it's also, I think, a nervous system thing, because I like to kind of put the two of them together. So,
Yeah.
um, ah, sorry, the dog is just like wanting attention right now as I'm trying to talk to you. Um, but yeah, so like I think our nervous systems kind of pick up on one another's whatever the other person has going on. So um that's kind of, I don't know, I just feel like nervous system and energy in combination, they kind of are just interchangeable, as is what I've kind of learned more recently.
Yeah.
But regarding the actual like Reiki healing and stuff, so you have to get attuned to be able to do the healing. Although it's accessible, it's just, I find that I feel like you would get drained more quickly if you were to try to do like a Reiki and energy healing on someone without actually having the attunement process, sort of thing. And then
Yeah.
there's three levels to it. So the way that Reiki works is you have different chakras in your body. There's 7 different chakras in your body, and each one represents something different. And basically, it's connected to like an energetic center, but also to um, like certain emotional, like an emotional body, and then also your physical body.
Mhm.
So it can be very telling as for when, like, if I'm going through a healing, what is usually it's something like emotional stuff that's going on that's causing energetic blockages in the body. And depending on how long it's been going on for, it can have like if it's has stuck there, been stuck there for a long time, it can cause physical ailments, basically.
Yeah.
Um, so when I'm doing the healing on people, I can basically sense like what it is that's at the base, the top layer of what it is that they need to start working on in order to start to heal themselves
Ah,
and regulate themselves.
yeah.
So it's kind of like uh, it's kind of it's kind of like a psychic power, I guess, in a sense too, because I actually get messages which I feel are mostly from the body, but it can also go on a spiritual level. So there can be I can get like spirit guide messages and stuff
Yeah.
too. But a lot of it I feel is very intuitive messages coming directly from the body and what the person needs.
Yeah.
Does
Okay.
that kind
Okay.
of
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
start it off?
awesome. So,
Okay.
if someone is, they're like, oh, I'm struggling with my partner,
Mhm.
I feel like they're not um spending enough time with me, or
Mhm.
I have this problem with my partner. We're not connecting the way I want to, and maybe it's a me problem. Maybe I'll just go, I'll go talk to my Reiki healer and see if she has any ideas, right?
Mhm.
And then you would do what you do,
Yes.
and then okay, and then you might have a hit of like, oh, maybe it is that that you guys just need to have a conversation about it. Maybe you're not speaking up for what it is that you want,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, so it can be multiple things. So something yeah, so like that, for example, so that would be, like, if it's about speaking up for something that you want, then you're probably gonna be feeling it in your throat. So maybe your
Uh-huh.
throat's actually closing up, maybe you have a cough, maybe, um, like, something else is going up, you're losing your voice, anything like that. So it'll be
Yeah,
happening in your throat. But it could be multiple things as well. So there could be
sure.
fear, and fear is
Mhm.
usually based in the root. So like the base of your spine, so low back type stuff, or in your legs. Your knees is actually where the fear, like where I work on for fear stuff specifically.
Yeah.
Um, but still, like the from your tailbone down, that's all root chakra um, stuff regarding the body. So
Yeah.
there could be fear. If it's like if the conversation revolves around sex, then it might be sacrals, which is like belly button and reproductive organ area. And so but that's also connected with emotions, sexuality, creativity, all of those things are there. And so it can be like, okay, well, are all these things happening all at once? Are you nervous about speaking up? Is there something that you want in the bedroom? And you have like this emotional attachment to it. You're really nervous about it. You have shame about it. Like what is it that's going on? So yeah, there'll be different things that come up
Yeah.
about it. And then some things can be like, is this what's going on? And then I could ask a question, and then sometimes them talking about it helps to release something because they need to actually say it or express it. Like to me out into the world. Or sometimes I'll get hits of being like, recently I was actually getting a lot of like nutrition stuff for people. And so it's like, I remember one, I was just getting like all these fruits and vegetables. I'm like, I think you just need to eat more fruits and vegetables because your whole body is like giving me a different fruit or veggie. So just like do more of that.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, just whatever, like, whatever nutrients specifically are in the fruits and veggies, like you're just not getting enough of it. So eat those. But yeah, like it comes in really interesting ways because I've also had specific words come in
Yeah.
that are very they're like, yeah, that is my dad, that is my so and so, like that is literally something that this person said to me, or I just heard this the other day, or just read like something very specific that um is meaningful to them can come
Yeah.
up. Mhm.
That's amazing. It sounds like this can be very validating,
Yeah.
because we're real good at gaslighting ourselves.
Yes. Yes, we are as a human race.
No,
I
it
feel
can't
like
be
a
that. It's just me.
yeah.
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 But yeah, and then I think like in regards to partnerships and relationships and whether or not you'd want to use like Reiki or healing in those relationships, I think it depends. Because I when I originally started, I would actually do like ask friends and family if they wanted to do would want to sit for me, and I would do the Reiki stuff on them. But I felt that there's certain situations where it's kind of like, no, you don't. It's I don't know. There's just stuff where not that you don't want to know about it, but if you're codependent and you
Mm,
have a tendency towards wanting to be that like you want to be that healer of all the people, you want to be the one that saves people, then it's not really like a super healthy thing for you to be doing. So
ah,
it depends on what it is that you want to do. If you both I don't know. I think it kind of has to be an equal exchange in that sense. Like if you both have healing abilities in some way, then I think it needs to be yeah, like
yeah,
an
yeah,
equal exchange.
yeah. That makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would want to share with the listeners?
Um I have a program that I am going to be doing. So it's my 12-week coaching program. And basically it's if you've been in a hot mess of a relationship where you continually are in these relationships and you're kind of like, you know what, I recognize that I am probably the problem. Because it just kind of keeps happening. I will like through
These all have one thing in common.
yeah. It just can't but I think, like, it's for people that are also doing the work, be like,
Yeah.
why why is it not changing? Like, I am trying, and I don't know why the changes I'm trying to implement aren't working, and it's just usually because like, the tools just aren't quite exactly what you needed.
Yeah.
Um, but I really feel like I have them with my program. So it's a group coaching program. It's starting I don't know when this is gonna come out, but I'll be doing a few of them anyway, but I am starting one at the beginning of January. And and it's for helping you to basically like become a more secure person and to be able to have better relationships that you can communicate really well in and attract healthier people and relationships in your life, um to improve the ones that you already have. If you want to, you know, you're struggling with them but you do want to keep them, you find a lot
Mhm.
of value in them, like it'll help. And so with like within that 12 weeks process, within 6 weeks you'll definitely start seeing a difference, and then by the 12 weeks you'll be on very close to like probably predominantly secure,
Yeah. That's
in your
amazing. I
attachment
love
style.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Many, many, many people need something like that. And
Yeah.
I'll put the link for that in the show notes
Okay,
for people
awesome.
to find you. I have your link, I have your website, but is there anywhere else that people can find you?
Yeah, they can find me on, my Instagram as well, which is Intimacy Mistress.
Mm,
Mhm.
I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I do too. I'm like I kept questioning well, I didn't question it too hard. I was like, "I really like this," and then every so often, I'm kinda like, "Ooh, is this too much?"
That's
I'm like,
perfect.
"No, it's really not, because that's
Yeah.
exactly if people are into the same things that I'm into and interested in, they will really like that name.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it's too much for them, then they won't follow me, and that's okay."
It's great. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. I have one more question for you, and it doesn't go on the main podcast, but it's for our Patreon subscribers at
Okay.
patreon.com/not monogamous. Uh, and it's just the tip. And so the question is, what is your favorite or best sex tip? Thank you so much for coming on. This is great.
No problem. It was I enjoyed doing this. It was very different well, yeah, a pretty different conversation from what I usually do on the podcast, because not everyone's, um, oh, talking about non-monogamy, but they wanna
Right?
talk about intimacy, sex, and attachment style, so I enjoyed this. It
Yeah.
was cool.
Yay, cool. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
No problem.
And that was Shelby Avann with her enlightening Just the Tip segment. And if you're curious about that and you want to hear it, there's a whole world of exclusive content waiting for you. By becoming a Patreon supporter of Nope, We're Not Monogamous, you can get all the behind the scenes insights, the bonus content that we reserve for our Patreon supporters. Don't miss out on these nuggets of wisdom and deeper dives into topics we all love, like sexuality. Visit patreon.com/notmonogamous. It's not just a subscription, it's your pass to a more intimate and enriching experience with our podcast and our incredible guests. Thanks for listening today. Bye.